got this Assault Loam deck versus a Mono White Martyr. Mono White Martyr is a deck that I play in Modern. This is my Modern deck right now. If I literally played in a Modern tournament this weekend with Mono White Martyr, and of course I got 2 draws in that tournament because this deck does grind with the best of them. Looking at these opening hands here, what are you thinking, Nietzsche?
I'm thinking I think that White has quite a bit of their engine here. Also, I think we might see a One Ring coming out on turn 3 from Luna. And if the One Ring is completely unopposed, and I do not exactly see anything from Saffron Olive's side to deal with it immediately, even though a Ranger Captain of Eos can go find that Haywire Might.
Yes, yeah, and that's one of the things. It does very much work like a toolbox deck, but it's not just the one shot. We've got ways of getting things out of our graveyard late in the game. We need to stall the game so we can start using our lands and some of our enchantments to our advantage and really grind out our opponents. We know we're never going to mill ourselves out because of some of the utility lands that we play. But over on Luna's side, she's the aggro deck. Like she's fully aware
Yeah.
she needs to get as much damage in as quick as possible so she can use the reach of her deck with loams and lightning bolts to get across that line. She's as I said, I thought it was her turn then. So again, end of turn, we're going to draw a card here. She decided
And
not to do anything then, though. What could she be holding up? Well, that's the question.
might be a Boseiju on a land.
So on Temple Garden, right? So there's only 2 green sources in this deck.
Okay.
One is the Survey Land, one is a Temple Garden, usually. We've got lots of ways of going to find them with, our plane cycles and stuff like this. As you see here, we're going to go get the Everett because this is the green is only for Haywire Might, and these are our only 2 sources. If they both go to the graveyard, we have got no other ways of you getting green mana to use our Haywire Mites. We would have to put one of the lands back on bottom of our library and then shuffle to try and hit it again. So it's not the end or do all, but I feel like she's identified this. The way that these One Rings don't survive is Haywire Mites. She's works out, well, if I can get rid of both green sources with Besaiges, which she's got lots of ways in her deck of getting those lands back out of the
Yeah, she's got the
graveyard.
life from the Loam
Yeah.
right here.
She's setting up for the long game, but giving herself the best advantage here. This is a really big brain if you think about it.
Oh yeah, it's super big brain play. The only way you're going to let those One Rings survive is make sure those Haywire Mites don't activate, and they're never going to activate now that she's on this land destruction plan.
The downside of all this, though, is obviously we're kind of fixing Saffron Olive's mana here. We knew that, that's big. Now, so that's the one land in the deck that stops us from milling out. That was the only land in the deck that can get our green sources back into our deck. And now we're basically one more Besaigu away, and then there's no more green mana, full stop, in the deck. So really setting in for the long game here, but this could be setting up Saf to, not just deploying his beatdown plan. Luna only at 13 life, a free freeze now entered the battlefield. Another point of damage is going to come across. These rings aren't free. They're going to be doing a lot of damage. She doesn't have many ways of gaining life in her deck. So maybe Seth's decided, you're going that route? Well, I'm going aggro now.
Yeah, I guess so. If she's going to take the control route, I mean, Saffron Olive might as well get into the red zone with these creatures. And they're pretty big creatures. I mean, if you add up the Ranger Captains, the Solitudes, the Eagles of the North, Saffron actually can turn the corner and just to go like aggro against his opponents.
Yeah, it's pretty. That's that's what the deck does. It's all these little weenie. It's kind of plays a lot like a Yawgmoth, where you just get a lot of young wolves, and you're like, oh, these little ones, but they actually turn into beat sticks because you ignore them, and then you got to use your resources on them. So I feel like Luna needs to get down on these seismic assaults sooner rather than later to try and at least keep the battlefield stable so we don't take too much damage. The one problem this mono white deck has is reach. It is only going to win with damage on the battlefield or your opponent milling out, and that milling out plan that's off the table now. Luna's identified that and got rid of it straight away.
The classic hacking with creatures. The most honest way of playing Magic around here.
This kind of Besaigu loop that we're seeing. It does do a lot against a lot of decks in Modern, but not so much on this Martyr list. It does play, I believe, 7 or 8 basics, depending on
8 basic planes.
Yeah.
So I mean, but you can get rid of every single utility land out of this deck.
Yeah, and that's the key. That's the namesake of this deck. We want to get to that key sweet spot where we've got 7 planes in, then we can start returning our creatures from the graveyard. But this Besaigu loop is going to be slamming a massive halt in that. As we see the One Ring come down, obviously you're the only person that didn't bring one ring this week in your deck. So I have to ask you, what's your favorite art of the One Ring?
My favorite art is actually just the original. I
Oh, just
like the
OG.
original, yeah, the OG art. I looked at all the arts. I just want the OG art. I mean, if you let me, I'll take the one with
The
the
two.
old
Yeah.
the actual One Ring one with the ancient text off of
Maybe
it.
maybe season 3, I'll try and get Posty to take part in MTGO Masters. You know what I mean? See if we
Well,
can get enough clout by then to get the man
webcam
himself.
magic.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, like, you might be down for it. We don't ask, you don't get. That's my philosophy in life. We're going to see a few more land added here for Luna, and now we're going to be deploying our own One Ring.
Looks like it's One Ring time.
Also holding up Double Life for the Loam and Beseju. Doesn't have another land drop here to get the Seismic Assault down, but we're very close to just being able to kind of get our lock going, if that makes
What
sense. Just being Seismic Assault, shoot down the battlefield, get them all back, go low to face, especially with Double Life in the Loam.
There it goes. That's gonna be the last green source in your deck.
Yeah, that
Saffron.
now
What's it gonna be?
all the One Rings are safe from the Haywire Mites now.
Mhm.
Can't reprieve that, of course. Like, what do you think about these like sort of channel lands and how they've been affecting basically every format the league in?
Oh, the channel lands are amazing.
Yeah.
These you're talking about the surveil lands?
No, no.
Oh, sorry,
Well,
no, the channel land. Oh, these
yeah,
are old. It's old
yeah, yeah.
stories. Oh, they're insane. Like Boseiju is completely wiped out. Like Disenchant. Who plays Disenchant anymore when you can like play Boseiju, which is effectively even better?
You say that. Oh, there must be what, like a year now? Maybe they came out in the Kamigawa block.
The Neon Dynasty.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
So what's
wow,
that? That's like
a
what, a
few
year old
years, I
now?
think.
Really?
Maybe two. I know, like when COVID happened, it feels like it feels like maybe it was a
Yeah.
little while ago, but it was an eternity ago.
I'm sure someone in chat will be able to help us out on that one. But yeah, okay. Let's talk about
At
this
least
surveil
2
lands.
years. Here we
Oh,
go.
okay. Yep. I'm getting. That's like, okay. 18 months. 18 months. Let's just meet in the middle. Yeah. I don't want to sound too stupid. Surveil lands. Obviously, the new hotness
Yeah, that's
in
the hotness.
very good with any format that has fetch lands.
Mhm.
That's like kind of my take on it. We're going to see this Martyr cracked here. By the way, we're going to go gain 18, just casual 18 life. Because we know this, we don't want to. We learned from the match one when we played, and we were at 24 life, and we felt we were safe, and end up losing that game. So we're not taking any chances here. We're going to gain a bunch of life, then we're going to reprieve it back to hand.
Mhm.
Especially that Luna, oh, she can't get it back down this turn, right? She'd have to crack a. She got a land drop. No, okay, she's going blocking, which is, yeah, this is all right. I'm trying to think like what else can we do? We've got temporal lockdown, but that's not going to really do much. It's going to affect us more than it's going to affect her. We could go Ranger Captain, go find ourselves a Haywire Mite. Doesn't really do much. We've already got the Cami in hand. We could go find another Fraven Inspector. Is that going to do much? Probably not. Oh, that if we could set up a turn, that Wings of Abandon overloaded might be able to do it. Get just a one-sided sweep.
Right.
So, but can we get enough on the battlefield? Oh, do you know we're talking about all the getting the One Ring off the battlefield type stuff, and there was no other way for Haywire Mite Green Magic. Well, how about Skyclave Apparition? That's another way of getting the One Ring off the battlefield.
Oh, true. Yeah, Skyclave Apparition dealing with 4 drops and less since okay, that card's been out for a while.
Yes,
In like
since
5
since
years.
it's printed, yeah. It's a pretty cool card in this deck because you can get rid of things like the One Ring, Khans, etc. to open up your One Rings, and then you don't really mind if it dies and they get the token because you've got so many ways of getting things off the battlefield with your temporary lockdowns, your Wrath of Gods, even your Wings of Abandon just being a one-sided Wrath for 6 mana.
So given that you play this deck,
Mhm.
why do you think it's so well positioned right now?
I think it's got really good matchup versus Rhinos, really good versus Yawgmoth, really good versus Murktide. These sort of decks that it's very grindy against the One Ring. I think it's a really good One Ring deck,
Mhm.
but I also think it's a terrible deck if you don't have the One Ring. if that makes sense. Like, you need
Right,
to
right, right.
draw and resolve a one ring, but you can do that with Ranger Captain. You can get a nice loop going of, every turn you get to return a creature from your graveyard, you can just keep returning Ranger Captain, sacrificing it in their upkeep. They can't cast non-creature spells now. In your upkeep, you get it back. You get multiple of these. You can do it with 2 of them. Then you can start getting back all your 1-drops, getting back your Favorite Inspectors, drawing a card, extra card a turn. Against the creature decks, you can go Kami. You can just keep sacrificing it every turn to, kind of fog combat damage, and you've got so many Wraths in the deck. I think it's a really good meta game choice at the minute.
Mhm.
But if you need to get some reps in, that's kind of the downside of this deck. You need the reps in because there's a good chance you're going to get a lot of draws. Especially in like ring mirror decks is where I was finding them this past weekend when I was playing it.
What you're saying is you gotta know your options, you gotta play super fast, and I imagine there's gonna be a lot of games where you're just gonna have to deck your opponent out, like, "Okay, I have infinite life, you got a big board, I got a big board, but you have less cards in your deck than I do."
You kind of want those games. You want the ones where it's like I've got a big board and you've got a big board because
Mhm.
I've got things like Wings of Abandoned in my deck. I'm just going to sweep
Alright,
one side of the
yeah.
battlefield. Not many decks play many basics these days. If you do, you're going to get them out of their deck with Wings of Abandon, and then you can just start, stone raining with Field of Ruins and Demolition Field, and then you start hitting away at your opponent's mana. So that's another way that you can kind of stall the board, so to speak, as in you fight at their mana for a little bit while you advance your board, get to the optimal point of having 7 planes plus I can't remember the name of the land that gets that brings creatures back, but we're not too far away here for Saf.
That's
Really,
looks
it's doing
like he
pretty
has a
good.
pretty strong hold on this game.
Yeah, the shields are down here though. Like that
Mhm.
seismic assault is going to come down, and that you see all the creatures have 2 toughness or less. And with double life of the loam and what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Mm,
7, 6 lands in the graveyard. That's what 6 times 2, 12 damage plus each turn. Even with Seth at 50, that's still a good way of getting this life total low.
I think we're gonna see this deck get online. It's time for Seismic Assault's turn.
We don't have many great ways of getting off the battlefield either, besides from our Skyclaves appellation. In fact, that is the only way we've got to get left off the battlefield these days. Because we don't have the Haywire Mites, which we've spoken about multiple
Mhm.
times now.
It's
Um,
offline.
we're going to shoot down the Skyclave. Skyclave is going to then generate a illusion, which is going to be a 4/4, because obviously it did have the 1 ring underneath it. Now here comes the Beseiju. We're going to get, I imagine that the utility land off the battlefield ASAP. Don't want any crazy shenanigans of Field of Ruins and Demolition Ruins and untapping and having 7 mana. I think Luna's got this game on lockdown, I want to say, but there's still like a chance that Seth can just one-sided Wrath, turn everything sideways and win the game. It's not worth conceding, if that makes sense, even though the clock is really against Seth in this matchup more than it is Luna.
Yeah, I don't want to underestimate the engine of Life from the Loam and Seismic Assault because that can just create an enormous chunk of damage out of nowhere. And you still and what are the libraries at? So Luna has more cards in her library over
Yeah.
Saffron, and that may play a part in this game.
I wouldn't put it past her. Like she was talking about that in the booth on commentary. Like she was just picking up on these different little things. She's like, oh, okay, well, there's more lands in play than this. Okay, and there's more cards in graveyard, so in hand. And she kind of works out. Like it was amazing how much data she was able to take from the game in one go and translate that across. I was just sat there like, oh, I wouldn't have even thought of that. But then nobody caught your line when you were doing the tie binder on the
Oh,
Cyclade. Everybody was just like, "What, master,
like my
master!"
only nice looking line.
Yeah, well, it was great. It was a sick one. Here comes the one-sided Wings of Abandon.
All
That's,
right.
that's going to get rid of 4 creatures. On the other side, we can go find 4 basics and put them into play. Um, but there are 3, and I think she decided not to get any basics. I think maybe both of them might be in play, right? So here comes the
Yeah, they are.
Beseiju, getting rid of a land. That means we've got 2 lands plus lightning bolts. So we can kill 3 of these creatures. One of them's probably going to be the Skyclaves because it's going to generate a 3/3 blocker. Yeah, I don't like the thing is this isn't a great attack, but what else are you doing in this? Like, how else are we gonna win here?
Also, Luna, like, has no way of gaining life, right?
No,
Oh, no.
I don't
What does
believe
she
she
do in
does.
deck?
Not in her deck at all. No.
No, there's
So,
no, what's it called? Shadow Spear. So, I
oh,
mean, her
I
life total
think.
goes down, it doesn't go up.
Well, if you go to on Twitch chat and type exclamation mark deck list, you'll be able to get a link directly to Moxfield, one of today's sponsors, and that'll take you and show you all the different deck lists that everybody played last week and this week. So I can go have a little look at Luna's list, and I can see that I suppose Haywire might gains 2 life, but that does seem about it. And no ways of getting a Haywire
Yeah.
back out of the graveyard. So
The saddest life gain strategy.
it's just gaining 2 life. Here comes the Loam coming to the battlefield. Now we've got a lot of shocks online whenever we want to do that. Stefanov is just this is awkward. Like, it's almost like we don't even want to use the ring at this point because we need to turn through our deck best we can. But Luna's basically got all the creatures on lockdown now with these loams plus all the lands in the graveyard, as
Mhm.
we're literally seeing now.
There's another
Um,
threat on the way, because if Ren and 6 can ultimate, then all of a sudden every land is a lightning bolt.
oh yeah, that's pretty rough as well. Well, I suppose we've got Temple Lockdown. We can cast that to get Ren 6 off the battlefield.
Okay, yeah.
Unless the Besiege's up, and then they can Besiege it while it's on the stack. Ugh, so much, so much going on.
Remember, temporary lockdown, only temporary.
Only Abundant, here comes Abundant Grace is another, not great when you know your opponent's got gazillion Besiege's on the other side. But that is another one of our engines. We've now drawn a 3/3. Maybe we can get there like Hawks and things. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm trying to work 5 points of damage to go through to fight through here. So what if we are? But then no, we know that there's the seismic assault loam schnack going on. There's at least 10 points of damage in hand. So these creatures wouldn't live even if we were able to give them +1/+0 and first strike from the
Mhm.
eagle. I think Luna's strategy is to try and eat as much clock up as possible, and I think she's kind of tempting Seth enough by going, "I'm at 5 life. You've got this, bud. Keep going. You might be able to get there. You might be able to just get across the line here." And I'm not sure how we're going to do that on Seth's side. He's fully aware that there's a handful of land on the other side. But
Yeah,
there's a
Seth
seismic
has
assault on the battlefield.
yeah, you have to get rid of that seismic assault, so how many cards are left that can deal with it? Like, how many Skyclave apparitions?
Well, the deck normally plays 3, so 1 left.
Because, I mean, it's really gonna come down to that. I mean, if this seismic assault gets to sit here for forever, Luna just can consistently destroy whatever's on the board, and also Beseju almost, I don't know, any other, like, enchantment or, enchantment land or artifact-like threat to her.
So looking on moxfield.com/decks/MTGO, you can see there are 3 Skyclave apparitions. Yeah, just playing the full 3 right now. The full 3, only 3. One more could make the full set, but deciding against it. I don't know why we're not using them. There is a flex slot. But I'm trying to work out what it is that Seth's brought in his flex slot. I can't work out what the extra card is. I
I'm really
actually
impressed by this Boseiju strategy. Like, this isn't how I would think of attacking Saffron Olive, but I mean, it's really locking him down. She's taking this huge control role, and Olive is now put put to the question: can you deal the last 5 points of damage? Because if you can't, you're going to deck yourself.
Yeah, well, it's actually really good against this deck, right? Like our deck really relies on our lands and our enchantments,
Hmm.
and if you can just keep blowing them up every turn, my deck doesn't do as much. I am playing a draft deck after that. Realistically,
Yeah.
if you look at some of the power level of these cards, Standfast, Solitude, and the One Ring, but the One Ring's not good here when I've only got 11 cards left in my deck. Solitudes are not great when my opponent's at 5 because I don't want to be giving them any extra life. It's also got 2 toughness, which isn't great in the face of this loam. So I think we just got to try and put as many creatures on the battlefield as possible. But I still don't think that's good enough. I think the clock is more important. But this could be whoever takes down game one wins the whole match. Like you just game two could go equally as long.
Mhm.
I really can't find out what this extra slot is. It looks pretty stock list to me. Oh, we're playing the 4th Raven Inspector. Normally we play 3 Raven Inspectors, and then there's like another card. Some people like to play Agatha's Soul Cauldron in
Mhm.
that slot. I played a 3rd Reprieve in that slot. So there's like one flexing in there. Steph's decided to go with the Raven Inspector. So that's quite interesting. Nice to know for the stats and the value. But and Luna's kind of like fine with this. I'm up on cards. I'm up on life. I'm up on as in like I can't really die.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
up on everything. She's got the board completely controlled.
she's got
Nothing can stick.
almost got the match under control, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking what in Seth's head, what's going through his head here? What is he thinking his line is to win this match? Especially we just discarded a bunch of cards there. We've got to basically do it, or guaranteed we've got to do it in the next 10 turns because we're going to deck ourselves. 73. Okay, I'm pretty sure Luna's not going to win that route. Maybe if this game kept going on for a while, but I don't think it's going to. In the next 10 turns, I don't think she's going to be doing 73 damage with this Loam. I think she's just going to kill every creature that hits the battlefield and just basically bully Seth into submission here.
Mhm. That's a good plan.
Well, it's good. Look, but she's been on that plan since basically what turn 2 when
Yeah,
she
she
was
was besieging
yeah.
since the beginning of the game.
She's worked out the game plan and it has come up an absolute blinder here for her as we draw the 4th Solitude. We're going to tap the ring again, go another couple of cards deeper. There's the Skyclave we've been wanting to see. So maybe this
All
is
right.
okay. Okay. I like it. Seth's been digging for this. He's going to play it. This is going to get rid of the Seismic Assault. Then I can start deploying my creatures safely so they don't get shot up. Problem, there's a red and 6 on 7.
Yeah.
So
And you don't have enough. You may not have. Is there? There's
no,
three. There's
we
all
got
the basic planes are in place. This flood strand actually does nothing.
oh, we
We have a lot of
got rid of
mana.
the temporal lockdowns. So
Oh, the temporal lockdowns aren't even in hand.
we were forced into getting rid of the red and 6 with the
Unbelievable.
that's so devastating. I feel like Seth, that was an actual real line there. If we get rid of the assault, hope there isn't another one in hand, and we can try and get our creatures on the battlefield for that one big swing to win the game. But we've had to use it on the red and 6 because we can't let have Loam's red and 6 ultimate with all these lightning bolts in
Mhm.
because it's exactly the same as Loam. So locked between rock and a hard place there for Saffron Olive. Unfortunately, bins his deck a little bit more by going to get the Favorite Inspector to hand. Here comes another Besage end of turn. Get that off the battlefield. Probably another one, maybe. Get the Field of Ruin off the battlefield. Nope, we're just going to shoot down the Ranger Captain here.
72 life, but Luna has 22 cards in deck. And at this point in the game, it all comes down to how many cards are in your deck.
Can you remind me what continent I'm on at the minute? Like where in
What
the world
continent?
am I where's my location currently, would you say, in the
Okay, if
world?
you're saying you're not, well, it sounds like you're not in Europe. So
No,
what,
no,
North America?
no. I am definitely in Europe, and it is
Okay,
definitely you need to
that's a
thank
continent.
remind me to thank Saffron Olive after this about how long this deck takes to win or lose a game of Magic because it is getting pretty late here in Europe. So hats off to him.
Oh, okay, I see.
That was a long way to the joke that you didn't bite at. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. Look,
Some of us are on European time.
Anyway, Saffron decided the clock is going to run down here, and there are no other ways of getting out. Plus, also, he didn't have many cards left in his library. So scooped it up, and this is going to be a tall order, trying to win 2 games in about 12 minutes against a deck that is very good at grinding out and killing all your creatures. We see a little bit of sideboarding, a little trimming from both players. Notably, everybody's keeping the one ring in still. A couple of lightning bolts coming out here for Luna. Seth's just kind of trimming on a few cards here and there, taking out the Wrath of God. This definitely isn't the matchup for it. Taking out the Kami. This isn't the matchup for that either. The Reprieves are coming out as well. Not great in this matchup. Um, not bringing in the Champion's interesting. I feel like Champion might be all right because it's going to have pro red. Still not amazing. Also, not worth bringing engineered explosives in because if it goes anything like game one, we won't have any other mana besides one on ones don't really hit too much over on Luna's side, at least not anything that does a lot. What do
We
you think
do
about keeping these
Saffron
Ragavans
Olive.
in?
Well, I mean, Ragavan, yeah, it's awkward. There's a lot of one drops from
Yeah.
Saffron Olive's side. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't know if Saffron Olive really wants to block with the Martyr. Well, I mean,
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
not on
all
turn
day
one,
long.
but like on turn two, probably he would.
I'd be snapping off those blocks left, right, center. But cool, sure, okay, yeah, there we
All
see. We
right,
see
some are getting shaved. If
for
you're
favor the
Saffron
member.
Olive, what are you going to do about this Boseiju plan?
Nothing. I can't do
Nothing?
anything. I can't do anything about it. The deck is not designed to do anything. It's not like land destruction is not a thing in modern, right? Like it's still not something that anybody.
Not supposed to
And if
be.
it, yeah, it's not meant to be. But Luna's kind of brought this her own brew on this. There's just cards that she liked,
Hmm.
works out great synergies with it. Through Inti in there as well. It's going pretty well so far. I'd say I feel like this is a really cool deck that we're seeing. A lot of people are going to probably pick this up and play it in a couple of leagues on Magic Online, but on the other side, I kind of feel like I found the weakness for the Martyr deck. Like I say I play a lot of Martyr. I've
Hmm.
never seen this strategy deployed against it, and just seeing. I'm looking. I'm like, oh whoa, this really does just fold the deck. The deck doesn't do anything if you can take out all my lands that are synergies, all my artifacts, my enchantments that I use to grind out the game. So yeah, I think Luna's just using that huge brain of hers and has found the way to win. We're going to start off with one of these survey lands that we spoke about. One of the obviously new printed, very good with all fetch lands. Because sometimes you just want to fetch that top land. Well, now you get this little bit of advantage. You can put that top card in your graveyard or not. Has it found its way into any Merfolk lists yet?
Not yet. Not at least anyone's tried yet. Mostly our lands, they almost always have to come into play untapped. But maybe there's some room to have like one in the deck if you play with enough fetch lands.
I think that's like the nice number, right? It's just one. We've seen how effective tri lands can be, all the
Hmm.
trilomes coming in, and we got like a dual land variant now, but this is kind of like an extra half a card, I would say. In certain elements, sometimes you really want them. If you're playing a graveyard synergy jack, it's going to be great. You can put extra cards into the graveyard. But starting off here, we've got the namesake card of the deck, Martyr on the battlefield, a couple of white cards in hand, and then an Inti on the other side. We've got a lot of ways to deal with this. Might go for the tempo play here of playing the Skyclaves, or looks like we might be going Wings of Abandon and just trying to get some of these basics out, which means Field of Ruins later on the game goes will be able to take these out. But okay, we're just gonna gain a bit of
Saffron
life
Olive
first.
going on the life gain plan. I would think that maybe you gotta, try to win the. There's two options. I mean, that's not a bad spot to like, I guess, try to attack. What would you do here?
Um,
Because we
like
do have the Skyclave apparition, but it's sort of a waste to spend it on the Inti.
I, yeah, I feel like as you say, it's got better targets in this matchup, but I'm also inclined that I feel like I need to try and get if game one's anything to go by, I need to try and get the creatures from the battlefield and keep them, stick them there for tempo.
Mhm.
I suppose I play Martyr. I don't play this huge life gain strategy of Martyr. I just kind of have that in my back pocket. I feel like it's a resource for me to use with the One Ring, or against if I get matched up against Burn or some sort of deck like that. In this matchup, I feel like my creatures are pretty important. But then, as you see there, Ren and Six comes down. There's a reason why one drop creatures in modern are kind of on the back burner when Ren and Six is around because it's very good at dealing with them.
And all other one toughness creatures.
And
Eats
I
them for
think
breakfast.
this is good enough for us to use our Sky Clave Aberration on. which remember, there's only 3 of these in the deck. So this is one of our ways of getting the one ring off the battlefield. Still a way of getting seismic assaults off the battlefield. Having to use them on Ren and 6 here is pretty rough, but Ren and 6 acts just like a loam. Obviously, we've got great knowledge, and Luna's hand is never
I mean, it's just
punished.
it's so full of gas.
Yeah.
'Cause she can choose whatever she wants.
Like, I could have 3 Thought Seizers here, and I'd
Mhm.
still be in a bad spot. Like,
Exactly.
every
Yeah.
single card in this hand is great against this, Martha in this matchup.
Not to mention, Saffron Olive a little low on gas himself here with a land and Haywire Might with no target yet. Well, but maybe it found one. Though it's always awkward to try to use removal on the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. You at least let a 2/2 hit the battlefield.
Hmm. Yeah, like, the advantage has already been done. That's why we see this card has just been an absolute powerhouse since it was printed. When it was got printed, no, this was a sleeper. Nobody thought, "Oh, Favor
Mhm.
the Mirror Break, free drop enchantment saga." No, they're not even that good anyway. Whatever. This one's turned up in every format and just shut us all up. We're like, it generates a token that makes mana. You can kind of loot through your deck. You can kind of draw up to 2, discard up to 2 if you need to, and then oh, by the way, now I'm going to get a Kiki Jiki creature as well. So, as you said, even if we get rid of it like we have now, we've kind of still also been 2 for 1 here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But
Not to mention this, what is this, a goblin? This goblin is a treasure-making machine.
yeah, the Goblin Shaman token. Obviously, do you see the meme going around that the actual paper token has got more value than a Tarmogoyf these days?
Oh, yeah.
it's
Oh, poor
really,
Tarmogoyf.
yeah, how the mighty have fallen, right?
Exactly, yeah. Did not age very well. I never thought that king would fall.
Here comes land back to hand. I don't like to call games too early, but I really am struggling to think how we're going to get out from underneath this. This hand is just so good. We've got extra ways to draw cards with the caves. We've got Assault Loam to deal with the battlefield. We've got Lightning Bolts to deal with the battlefield. We've got Pick Your Poisons. We've got One Rings to draw more cards when we fill our hands. We've got ways to generate value. We've got the board presence. This is everything's coming up Luna, basically. And I love it. I love that this deck has turned up and been a thing. I love that she just took her own angle or approach on the modern meta, and you can get away with that in these small fields. A 4-person sort of pod here on MTGO Masters. This is the best place to bring these. I wouldn't say crazy decks, but these like decks that you wouldn't see really doing well in MTGO leagues. You wouldn't see them doing well in big tournaments. In quotes, watch me now, watch like the modern challenge get taken out by Assault Loam or something, but. It wasn't on anybody's radar, and I think that's why everybody loves MTGO Masters so much. Is everybody's turning up with decks that aren't really on anybody's radars. Merfolk.
It wasn't clear to me, but she might have articulated that this is like, she likes to play vintage cube, and I guess she like
Yeah,
got some of these cards in the deck. It's like, well, what if we had access to 4 of each of these cards and made it an actually a perfect 60 card deck? This is what it is.
I was literally speaking to her yesterday about it. I was like, so why did you bring this deck? This is kind of off match. Well, look, I've been in a lot of vintage cube on Magic Online. I've been drafting a lot of Renin 6, Ragavans, and Inties, and I think these cards are all really cool. So I'm going to put them in a deck together. Seismic Assault looks like it fits. We see this really cool interaction that we're seeing here. With
Mm.
not only we got discard outlets now, but also with an NT on the battlefield, we get all the extra benefits of discarding our cards on top of it. So basically for 0 mana, I can shock something plus draw a card, plus put a +1/+1 count on a creature and give it trample.
In a
Huge
lot of
value.
ways, it's like Jund Ragavan, but with the Seismic Assault, Light from the Loam engine. So it has an unfair like late game that we've been able to see happen in game 1,
Mhm.
which might be the way to fix that Jund Ragavan deck.
And then on the other side, you've got Eagles of the North. 6 mana all star in the modern meta game for a free flyer that pumps your team. It's yeah, it's not going great here. Let's say, I feel like we're bullying Seth a little bit and kind of flexing our brewing muscles of how cool this deck actually is. And then, we haven't even spoke about how Urza's Saga being in this deck. And
Yeah.
how good that card is by itself. Well, how about if we just have lots of ways of rebuying it and kind of use the construct tokens as a way to get through, which we know is very good against control decks. control decks don't have great ways of dealing with lands. Can't counter as a Saga, and oh, where's this endurance going? And now we're talking. Oh, but we're doing Seth a favor. We'll just
Yeah.
string you along a little bit more. Also, like again, Field of the Ruin is like kind of a huge part of these the Martyr deck. It's just not good against Luna's deck at all. Wilton was playing into her game plan here of putting more lands in your graveyard for you so you can get them back out with your Loams, with your red and sixes.
Yeah, you blew up my land, I'm just gonna bring it back.
Another Eagle of the North, hard cast. Let's go. Let's do what Gandalf said and fly, you fools. Not great by itself, though.
Well, Eagles of the North, they fly together, because there's another Eagles of the North on the way.
Not great against an endurance. The 3/4 with reach.
Oh, but don't they give each other first strike?
Well, yeah. So if we could play one every single turn, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Problem
Gotta be
is,
optimistic around here.
the big problem here is we paid 6 mana to put a 3/3 on the battlefield. Luna answered with a 1 mana spell, and now we're generating more value. This is going to be in a crackback for 12, I think, which pits Seth on a needs to be Winds of Abandon or bust type turn.
Really interesting. Luna took the complete control route game 1, and now actually is playing more of a mid-range type of game 2, and it's playing out perfectly as well. This deck is very flexible in the ways that it can basically attack the opponent.
Yeah, it's been huge. Seth's gonna filter the deck a little bit. You know what I mean? Going to draw that planes off the Eagles, and a damnation field is not going to be enough for Seth here. I think he's going to be looking at the battlefield and being that is going to be too much. I'm at 10 life. There's about 12 plus damage on the other side. That is going to be it, and Luna is going to take it down.